So you could graph this function in Desmos, and the major turning points would be where it touches the x-axis at -2 and +2. Because then, you're starting to plug in numbers that would make the inside of the absolute value be negative, but they get zapped to be positive. And then if you plug in x equals 0, you should get y equals 4. So I think it should look something like this. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but it should be something similar to that because it's quadratic inside the absolute value. And we're only interested between 0 and 9. So what you want to do is set up two integrals because it changes direction. The function all of a sudden changes behavior between x equals 0 and x equals 2. And then we'll add that to x equals 2 and x equals 9, that area. So to make these graphs happen, I don't know if it might look like that. Okay, but either way, to make the graphs happen, we got to find out what the function would be. It's the absolute value. If you were to plug in a 0 in here, that would make a -4 without the absolute value. So it's been reflected about the x-axis. So if you want to reflect a function about the x-axis, you multiply the whole thing by a negative sign, the whole thing inside the absolute value by negative sign. So -x² plus 4, that should be the function that represents this area between here and here. And then over here, this one is, if you were to plug values in to the right of 2, like x equals 3, you get out a positive value, x equals 4, you get out a positive value. So it's like this regular x² minus 4 function without the absolute value happening. This is x² minus 4 for this area under the curve. Okay, and then evaluating each integral, we get -x³ over 3 plus 4x from 0 to 2. And then we got x³ over 3 minus 4x from 2 to 9. So it's -8 over 3 plus 8. And then it doesn't matter what happens when we plug in 0 over there. And then if we plug in 9 to the third, 81 times 9. So it's 729 over 3 minus 36. We got to subtract that by what happens when we plug in 2. 8 over 3 minus 8. Okay, so we get an 8. It's going to be, that's minus, here, let's just do the integers together and the fractions together. So 8 minus 36 is -28. And then you got a minus and -8, so that means plus 8. So we get -20 for the whole numbers. And then the fractions, we got 729, that was plus a -8 thirds. And then subtracted by another 8 thirds, so that's 713 over 3. And if we get common denominators, that's -60 over 3. 713 subtracted by 60. I got 653 over 3.